Hey guys, today we are making my copycat recipe for Joffrey's giant pink donuts located in Disney World. A few years ago, my girl Ashley, Pixie Dusted Mom here on YouTube, raved about these, and now we always grab one of these beauties on our way to the Skyliner at Caribbean Beach Resort as a quick, delicious breakfast treat. I started this channel creating copycat Disney recipes, and while my main focus is on my own recipes nowadays, Disney food still has a huge place in my heart. They have some of the best food, so whether you love Disney or not, you will love these donuts. I mean, what's not to love? Soft, pillowy donuts dipped in perfectly sweet strawberry vanilla icing and topped with rainbow sprinkles. They're especially perfect for Mother's Day, so let's go get started. So I do want to start out by saying you do not necessarily need a stand mixer to make these, but it does make it a little bit simpler. So I will try and give you directions for doing it in a stand mixer as well as by hand. But you just want to place 1/3 cup of warm water in a large bowl. You want it to be about 110 degrees. I recommend using some sort of thermometer, whether it's a meat thermometer or a probe thermometer. If the water is too hot, it will kill the yeast, and if it is too cold, it won't activate it properly. So to the warm water, I'm just sprinkling on 2 packets of active dry yeast, and we just want to let that sit for about 5 minutes to let it bloom and activate the yeast a little bit. And then I have 1.5 cups of milk and 5 tablespoons of melted butter that I warmed, but then just let cool down a little bit because again, we don't want it too hot that it will kill the yeast. And we're just going to add that in along with 2 eggs that I lightly whisked, 1/4 cup of sugar, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And then we just want to mix that until combined. And then I have 5 cups of all-purpose flour. I like to start with half the flour, and using the dough hook attachment on the machine, you just want to stir that around until all of the flour is incorporated. If you're doing this by hand, then at this point you just want to use a rubber spatula to combine the flour into the wet ingredients. But then we are going to add in the remaining flour, and if you're using the dough hook attachment, you want to let this knead in the machine for about 5 minutes, and that's going to activate that gluten. If you're doing it by hand, you're going to need to put it out onto a floured surface and knead it by hand for about 5 to 8 minutes, where you fold the dough over and using the palm of your hand, you press and fold and press. I hope that makes sense. I wish I had a visual. But if you're using the stand mixer, what we're looking for is the dough will start pulling away from the sides of the bowl, almost cleaning the bowl. And it's going to be slightly sticky, but it shouldn't be so sticky that you can't handle it. It shouldn't be completely covering your hands. If that's the case, you want to add in a little bit more flour, about 1/2 cup at a time, wait a few minutes and see if you get that desired consistency. So then we just want to place the dough in an oiled bowl and cover it with plastic wrap and a few towels to keep it warm. And we just want to let that rise for 1 to 2 hours or until it's doubled in size. So then once that happens, we want to have a lightly floured surface and dump the dough out onto the surface. And we want to roll that into a 1/2 inch thickness. You can even pat it out by hand if you'd like. And then we're just going to cut the donuts out with a large round cookie cutter, or you could use a large glass. And then I like to cut a little slit with a knife in the center of each circle and just pull to make that donut hole shape. And then we're going to place those on a parchment lined baking sheet and cover again to let rise for an additional 30 minutes. And while those are rising, we're going to heat about 2 inches of oil in a deep skillet or pot to 350 degrees. So we're going to fry the donuts. These ones are pretty large, so I could only do 2 at a time. We just want to fry them for about 2 or 3 minutes and then turn them over for an additional 2 to 3 minutes. Now my tip here would be, especially because I know frying can be a little scary, use a metal spatula, place the donut on, and put the metal spatula down into the oil and just slightly jiggle it back and forth, and that will release the donut off of the spatula and into the oil, so you don't have to worry about dropping something into piping hot oil. And then I just use tongs to flip them. So after they've fried for about 2 to 3 minutes per side and they're nice and golden brown, we just want to transfer them to a wire rack and allow them to cool for about 20 minutes. If they're too hot when you dip them in the frosting, it'll just all run off. So while they cool, let's make our glaze. So I have 2 cups of confectioner's sugar, and to that I'm adding in a half a teaspoon of strawberry extract and a half a teaspoon of vanilla extract, along with 2 to 3 tablespoons of milk. I always start with 2 tablespoons. You want this to be really thick so it sticks to the donuts and doesn't just run off completely. And then I also have some pink food dye. I'll link down below the pack of food gel that I have because this pink is perfect, but you could also just use a few small drops of red food coloring if that's what you have. So we're just going to dip the donuts into the glaze, turn them over and place them on a wire rack again, and sprinkle with rainbow sprinkles. And there you have it. These donuts, honestly guys, are so good. That light, tiny bit of strawberry flavoring is what really makes them special, I think. But we had one of these when we were on our trip back in February, and I have been dreaming about it ever since. So I was really wanting to make them, and I thought Mother's Day weekend is the perfect opportunity. So light and fluffy and perfectly sweet. There is nothing better than a freshly fried donut. And I hope that the tips and tricks that I gave along the way will show you that if you know all of the little techniques, donuts are actually really easy to make. The full recipe can be found on my website, cinderellasapron.com. If you give these a try, please be sure to leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think. And if you are here for the Disney recipes, just know I will be making more Disney recipes mixed in the future. So definitely be sure to subscribe if that's the kind of thing that you like. And thank you so much for watching until the end. We will see you in the next one. Bye.